Thank you very much. One of the things that I've always loved about Anurag sir and Exchange for Media is that there is Anurag sir here? Yeah, you're here. Okay. So he always practices what he preaches. So the slide just before this was an old man and a young man and life's greatest lessons. So he's actually put the three together. And I've been a fan of Rishi for way too long now, and we worked together on a couple of projects, and I happen to now have this conversation with him. So to give you a brief intro about Rishi and about Make My Trip, this is a journey that started in 2000 with the first booking, I think, 2000. And now in 2025 April, this journey is covered about 80 million passengers. So 80 million travels have been covered by Make My Trip. And it obviously goes to say that there are very, very bright people behind this brand who've made this possible. And just to give you an idea of the net bookings, they're about $7.5 billion in the year gone by, which is not even completed 12 months. So welcome, Rishi. We really look forward to learning a lot from you, learning a lot about how you've been reimagining this big brand that you all have put together. So give us a small idea on how life from then to now has changed, and what are the things that have now become fundamental that weren't earlier. For example, there is AI, there's technology, there is data. How's life changed for you?
Super. Vivek, first of all, thanks for being so kind. Like, it's great talking to you because both of us understand both marketing and technology, and you've been quite spearheading. News is a very, very difficult category, and in this world where everything is getting disrupted, news is very like when I imagine it versus like what the challenges that we face and you face, I think you face higher order challenges right now. So, look, big fan of your work, and obviously it's always great to hear Anurag. Sorry we missed half your session. I wish we would not have missed that, but always great to hear from you. Vivek, I think we've been around for 25 years, and when Make My Trip started, when Deep started Make My Trip in India, is pretty much that time when internet was just starting to happen, right? So in some way, Deep had this foresight that things will change, the future is internet. And the way the landscape has changed is that there was desktop internet, then suddenly mobile internet came, and smartphones changed everything. And smartphones is not a very old phenomena. Maybe the real disruption on smartphones started happening 12, 13 years ago. And now the third big jump shift is AI, right? Just that the rate of change on AI is way faster. I mean, if desktop adoption took 16 years, mobile adoption took 8 years, AI adoption might it's happening right now. ChatGPT already has around 800 million users. Obviously, and the surprising number is that 14% of that base is in India. So we are actually the largest consumers of AI or conversational AI. So I think the rate of change has been super duper fast, and it's only going to accelerate. Every 1 year, the landscape will change dramatically, and maybe 3 years from now, Google just announced that by 2030 or late 2030, they would have AGI, and AGI is artificial general intelligence. Now think about, and we were just chatting before this, that 10 years back, and I used to work for Pepsi before Make My Trip. 10 years back, if you wanted a bottle of Pepsi, you would have to go outside. Today, you can order that Pepsi on Blinkit or Zepto on your app. Maybe in another 5 years' time, you won't even have to order. The AGI agent on your app will realize that you want a Pepsi, and it'll order it for you, and you'll get that chilled bottle of Pepsi available even without making any effort. So I think we're living in a very dynamic world. So that's changing. The technology landscape is changing. The way consumers interacting with you is changing. And if I may call this out, that the single largest lever of change is that.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I think you're at the center of this whole storm, and I think the hero that you've been able to generate is the data. I think your AI layers and everything that you're doing is actually, I mean, in a certain way, it's the CMO's vision. Because if you don't have data, you don't have patterns, you don't study them, you don't do any predictive modeling. So there are actually two things that make your job very difficult. And as another, I mean, somebody who's handling another brand in the media space, I'd like to learn as to how did you bring in this early vision of collecting data? How did you put those touch points together? And also, one very interesting thing we were talking about, is there is personalization, then there is hyper personalization, and then there could be super hyper and extremely hyper, whatever. Now there is obviously a trade-off. I mean, if you really go very, very personalized and compared to a broad-based targeting we were doing, at what point does it become ineffective to go, extra personal? Now one-on-one is a very good theoretical way, but is it business-wise viable? So two questions on this one. One is, you got the data and you actually had the vision to put this power of data together. The other is how do you use this data and till when should we be personalizing?
Absolutely. Uh, the starting point for us was that we kind of aggregate the Indian traveler. So there are roughly around 40 million travelers in India who take a flight in a year. It's a large number, but not that large number as well. And we have 100 million unique people coming to our app in a quarter. So we pretty much anyone who's searching for travel is coming to us and leaving us some impressions. And what we would do earlier was that we would continuously recruit from outside, which basically means continuously spend on marketing, on ensuring that every time you're thinking of taking a flight or booking a hotel, you come to MakeMyTrip. And then we realized that over the last 25 years, we have so much cumulative information about the consumer. How is he traveling? What is he searching for? What is his cost propensity? What kind of airlines does he take? Or what kind of hotel does he book? And we started thinking that why do we have to reach out to him every time outside? When he's coming on your app, he's left enough signals. Why don't we record that data well and start making sense out of it? Theoretically sounds quite easy why not? But the practical problem is, and something that Anurag was talking about, like this word called Mark Tech. It's a very bad word because it's like say tech ko maar rahe hain. Maybe you can change the word, like call it something else. I don't know. Maybe Anurag said maybe try and not call it Mark Tech. It's something more innovative than that.
Or marketing ko maar rahe hain. That also
yeah. So yeah, no, that's true. So I think that's when we realized that you need to understand the underlying technology quite well. That how do you actually store data? How do you make sense of the data? And then how do you surface it well? And then we started kind of investing behind building our data models, our data engine, our experience hub. And some of it is not easy. And we're still struggling with it. I mean, have we got it right? The answer is no. But we constantly invest behind knowing that how does the underlying technology on data work? And how do we make sense out of it? How do we build CDPs and all? That's one part of it. The second thing is how do you use data? I mean, like the question you asked is that if I have enough information on everyone, can we treat every different consumer separately and give him a voice, like a message which is one-on-one personalized? There are two problems to it. The first problem is cost. It is not like zero cost. Even if you own first-party data, every time you are kind of playing with it, you're kind of hitting your cloud, hitting the cloud, taking back queries, and every query is a cost. So it's not like zero cost. Like general perception is it's your data, it's stored somewhere. If you're playing around with it, it's cost-free. This is not cost-free, and that cost is only going to go up because the more qualified your data engines get, the more times they're going to hit the server. So I think A is that. But the bigger problem is that is it just personalization or is it insightful personalization? And let me give an example here. You go to a hotel every single time, and this is a hotel example, not a MakeMyTrip example. And every time when you're going there in the evening, you're asking for a Diet Pepsi. Now, supposing the sixth time the hotel understands that this guy, when he's calling me, he's asking for a Diet Pepsi, and he says, "Hi sir, your Diet Pepsi is already on the way." You're delighted, saying, "Wow, yeah, this guy understood me," and a great example of personalization. Now, supposing all the 5 times you checked in the hotel at 9 p.m. because you had a late flight or whatever, and this time you came early, you came at the right checkout time at which is 1 p.m. And he says, "No, sir, your room is only ready by 9 p.m. because every time you check out at 9, you check in at 9. So we thought this time also it's nice. That's a bad example. That's uninsightful personalization. So I think the right word is like, do not hyper personalize for fashion, but personalize it meaningfully. That where is that point of differentiation? Because A, it's cost, and secondly, if you lack the insight, then you are doing it just for the sake of doing it. There's no, you're not wowing the consumer. Uh, the good news is that from a technology point of view, today technology is available where you can hyper personalize. Like for example, you can actually create content at scale. You can create 1 million copies, which is different for 1 million people because AI is doing it. But also you have to be ensure that you're not sending out a wrong copy. I mean, so you have to quality test on what you're sending outside to the consumer. So at some point, supposing you're creating 1 million copies, then you also need to learn that how do I quality check 1 million copies, right? Uh, so it so it's not easy, and hence my request, my general direction even to my team is that do it only when it's required, do it for a purpose, do it with an insight, don't hyper personalize just for the sake of it.
So ऋषि की बातों से एक बात एकदम पता चलती है that this gentleman can wear a business hat, he can wear a marketing hat, and he can wear a tech hat, and therefore I am very excited to actually be in conversation with a person who can speak all three languages. So I mean you're one of those very rare species, and I really want to understand you get the sense of cost of acquisition because you wear the marketing hat, but you also want to know the lifetime value.
Yes.
What is it that this customer is going to generate? And now with the whole dynamic shift that's happening, so you've had Turkey, you've had things like that, and suddenly the business moves, and you need a very strong tech backend, which can give you that data to give you a niche that these are the guys who are traveling to Turkey may cancel. We have to give them something else, another tailored recommendation so that they don't cancel. Now, how do you bring these internal, external silos together? Because the role of a CMO in a company like you is very, very challenging.
Yeah. Vivek, I think like 10 years from now, again, or in a traditional environment, like supposing you're doing a brand marketing role in Pepsi, I used to handle the cola category there. Marketing was supposed to be like a humanities subject. It was like understanding human psychology, like an art discipline of saying, okay, like how do you bring a smile to your consumer? And generally we used to dope around and say, okay, our consumer, and that's why marketing was a very coveted role. Saying, यार मजा आता है इस role पे क्योंकि you're thinking human sciences, कि like the art of pleasing a consumer, getting him, like the single largest matrix on a brand like Pepsi was brand love. Like how many consumers love your brand? Today what's happened is, and I think it's across sector, but more so in our sector, which is e-commerce, that this is a physics discipline. And not to say that art does not exist and we still kind of ensure that we make great creatives and all, but it's a physics discipline. And why do I call it a physics discipline is that most of it is first principle thinking. That ultimately what I want is, the action I want, there's a consumer lying somewhere. When he's thinking about traveling, am I able to catch that intent somewhere? That okay, like Vivek is thinking about his summer vacation. So he's in market, and the term we now use is in market. How do we understand that he's in market at the lowest possible cost? How do I reach out to him? Because every time I reach out to him, you have to spend money. The cost in India roughly of reaching out to someone is 200 rupees. So how do I reach out to him minimum number of times with the maximum impact so he comes on my funnel and starts interacting with me? And all of this if done scientifically. And obviously it is art, because maybe if your creative is good, on your first impression, you're able to create intent. If your creative is not good, then maybe it requires 7. And 7 means 7 into 220 rupees, your cost of acquisition is going up. So if you start thinking just pure physics of this process, and then you say, okay, what is the algorithm that I'm building is that how do I reach out to Vivek and make him come to my app at the lowest possible cost, then all the other things become like maybe non-important. What channel to go by, because that's optimized. So I think, and that's why it's become extremely difficult, because you need to keep on thinking like a physicist and solving an art problem. So that's one. The second thing maybe is that you, like, and I think Anurag was also saying that now you can call it CMO, you can call it Chief Growth Officer, you can call it Chief Business Officer. I mean, whatever the designation is. But if you cannot contribute directly to business, then this is not the right environment for you to live in. Then you maybe create, then you, if you're too art inclined, or if you're thinking, no, that marketing is just psychology and consumer behavior, then maybe you're better off making content and being on that side of the world. If you're on this side of the world, you can call the discipline what it is, but ultimately it's a business discipline, and you need to learn that how does every action that you're doing, or every money that rupee that you're spending is paying back to you because you're in the business of making money. So that's number two. And number three, in today's world, you cannot be, and no matter what you do, I mean, if you're a sales guy, business development guy, marketing guy, you need to have like a broader or some understanding of technology. And I would request like everyone who's employed and working for companies like even a non-technology company, for example, if you're working for Levers, Nestle, Pepsi, whatever, you need to have first-hand experience on technology usage. I mean, if nothing else, just be on ChatGPT and see how prompts work, because that's where the consumer is. So I think technology orientation for all of us is must. Glad that you are doing marktech.ai, because I'm hoping consumers will be on the platform and read about technology as well.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, you shed light on your leadership qualities over this response. So, I mean, it's quite inspiring that you straddle this difficult sort of environment where there is so much uncertainty, there is predictive analysis, there are so many things that, now give the consumer delight. So you spoke about physics, and I'm also, very excited that there are very strict laws on physics, and it's not, you can't do it's not a 19, 20, 21. It's law of physics. So similarly in MakeMyTrip, I'm sure there are Rishi's laws of physics. I think that's how MMT will be working. And
let me say it, MMT's laws of.
So I've interacted with you more than I've interacted with anybody else at MMT, and we did actually put together an influencer lounge at the Kumbh. Yes. So it takes a lot of vision. It takes, it was for the first time we had, an assembly of that kind. So my question and something that all of us would like to learn from you is that, in these laws that Rishi has made, what is the time you decide that you have to upsell to this guy, you have to send this on to a cross channel, or you have to move him down the funnel? I'm sure this would also be working on physics.
Absolutely.
So, and this would therefore be deciding what you're going to do in future. You spoke of agentic. You're one of those very few marketers who already started working on agentic. You understand RAG, you understand retrieval models. So you're somebody who can actually answer this, and we'd like to know how the Rishi's law of physics work.
Thanks, Vivek. See, I think first of all, I think you've also traversed this quite well, and without losing as much hair as well. So compliments to you.
But I've grayed faster than you.
Like I have nothing left to gray.
Gray matter.
So fundamentally, like any e-com platform, we had a very transactional view on things. We said, okay, measure your business on transactions. And then we started thinking that why transactions, why not a consumer? Like, and a transaction view is that someone wants to book a flight and a hotel. Let him come. Every transaction, you kind of do the economics on it, that when he's buying a hotel, what is the economics of getting him on the platform, and similarly when he's buying a flight or a rail ticket or whatever. Then we started thinking, yaar, consumer to wahi hai. He's come and bought a flight with you, why he's not bought a hotel with you? So we started thinking that it's not transaction, we have to start building a consumer view. That if you've not acquired a transaction, you've acquired a consumer, and when we're in the business of travel. You never travel just by booking a hotel. When you book a hotel, you also booked a flight, you've also booked a cab, if you're going to international, you've also booked Forex, you've taken insurance, you've gone for visa. And we said, yaar, हमने तो एक ही बारी acquire करके छोड़ दिया, why have we not been able to complete his journey? And we started building this vision on trip completion. That if he's bought a flight with you, how do we ensure that you send him the right content on hotels? Now, if he's booked a hotel from you, tell him that the airport cab is available. Remind him that if you're going international, then have you kind of taken your insurance and visa, or insurance and forex visa to wo kar chuka hota hai. From a consumer point of view, all of them happen at different points of time. You actually start like when we start booking, we first start getting inspired. Then we say, okay, yaar, ye destination जा सकते हैं summer में. Let's do destination research, which is discovery. Once you've discovered destination, you say, okay, now let me plan how to go. Let me build an itinerary, and then you come to the process of booking your hotels and flights and whatever. We used to traditionally think that our role is that when you've done all of that and you're booking your hotel and a flight, is when we play a role. Now we say, no, yaar, we have a role to play at every step. We have to inspire the consumer. We have to ensure that we aid in discovery, and then we bring him down the funnel on hotels and flights. And again, we can't waste, like someone who, see, ultimately consumers are also driven by affordability. Now, different parts of India are differently affluent. Now, for a household which does not have affluence, if you are selling him Italy, you're selling him the wrong dream. But maybe if you're selling him Jaipur, you're selling him the right dream and still leisure for him. And then we started building that how much do we understand from previous signals that what is the affluent of the consumer. And then the 2x2 app has its own limitations. Like a 2x2 app surface, you can do as much. And then we start building some liberty that why restrict to the app? Why not think about a world which has all the ecosystems kind of. If he's on Meta, then why not Meta? Like Meta is Instagram. So now what the journey that we are on is that understand your consumer well, give him some definition, and then target him correctly. Also, don't target him for a transaction, target him to ease his entire booking behavior. Build discovery, and all of this sounds easy, but it's pretty complex. And now with the usage of agentic flows and overall like LLMs available, we actually think that we can construct a very different experience where you start with having conversation with your consumer, help him discover a destination, then bring him down, use agents to kind of help him book. So I genuinely think that we are very excited about what the future is.
That's really, really enriching. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this opportunity to talk to one of the CMO role models who dabbles in technology, who dabbles in marketing, dabbles in business, and doesn't stop there. He's always looking at taking it ahead from there. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And we're running out of time and think time's over, but I think one or two questions you should ask to Rishi, because it's not every day that you get somebody like him. Thank you.
All right, the floor is now open for questions to the audience. Yeah, somebody's there. Can we get the mic? Yeah.
Hi. You very interestingly were talking about, how a consumer lands up at a hotel, at one time at 9, and the next time the hotel automatically sets up their room at 9. When we were building martechai.com, we found this, that most companies today are disguising automation as intelligence. And I think that is happening a lot.
Yes.
So what is your take on that? And are we living in a fake AI world where automation is, right there and people are just using it to tell the story that they're using intelligence?
So I think so, again, a great question. See, automation is required because if you have intelligence, then automation aids intelligence, and not vice versa. Bridge, I think the way companies should think about it is that there are problems that we understand. For example, when your funnel breaks, that consumer was searching for something, but he gets so frustrated or the cognitive load is so high that he says, yeah, fuck it, sorry, F it, I'm gonna not do this. Now, the way you should think about automation is that can automation aid some of those experiences which were getting broken in the past because you could not solve for them? For example, I'll just give you an example. One of the ways that we are solving it is that when we see that the frustration score on the app is increasing, like this guy is stuck and he's stuck at one page and not able to figure out, open a bot for him to converse so that we understand his problem better. Whenever you do it for a purpose, it'll always kind of work out. Now, if supposing we say for every journey open a bot, then the consumer will think, yeah, why are there two multiple flows? There's an app flow and then there's a bot also speaking to you at the same time, he'll get confused. So I think whenever it's done insightfully, then automation has a huge role to play, but automation, like you rightly pointed out, is not intelligence in itself, but automation is required to use intelligence in a, like in a mass way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to ask two questions. Very specific. One is, how much money are you spending on marketing as a percentage? If you're spending 100 rupees on marketing, how much on marketing?
Anurag, the answer to this question is that we spend a lot. Like I can give you rough ratios. Like 25-30% of our marketing spend happens on just upgrading technology at the back end or kind of hitting our own servers with data. Ideally, I would want to do more. Like if I had the choice, I would want to invest ahead of the curve on MarkTech because also what happens is there's technology debt. What used to work 5 years from now does not work today. And so we are constantly under technology debt and we want to upgrade it. At the same time, you have to manage your P&L. So right now it'll be around 20 to 25%. But if I had the choice, I would do more.
And we're in June. It's a summer season. It's holiday season. So holiday means business for you, right? What kind of marketing spends is MakeMyTrip likely to do this year versus last year? Are your marketing spends growing? Give us a sense of how you're approaching. For example, do you think cricket has become over expensive?
Yes.
Give us a sense of some of the real things that you are thinking as a brand and business.
Anurag, that's a great question because there are two things that are happening. That there's inflation in the market. But what's also happened is that there's been consolidation at a supply end, and more it's getting consolidated. For example, globally, between the top 4 platforms, almost 70% of the spends are happening in the top 4 platforms. In India, again now, with Vodafone with Jio and Star getting together, now there's consolidation on both classical medias, and there's obviously consolidation at Meta, and Google and thereon. So the ad market is seeing inflation ahead of the economy. And hence, for example, is IPL becoming more expensive? The answer is yes. And from a task point of view, what we really want to do is we want to keep at least our dollar marketing spends at best constant. So we want to grow, supposing we want to grow 25%, we want to grow it at the same cost base of marketing. So that's where we are. And that's why MarkTech becomes extremely important for a company like us, because the more we can farm our own base, and we have very large first-party data. So more and more our thinking is that farm your own base, spend on technology, spend on experience, and maybe keep the outward spend constant.
And Rishi, I know that you created some initiatives of your trade, B2B. Give us a sense of what are you doing in B2B?
Okay. On B2B, what we are doing is that we are ensuring that the same content goodness that we have is available to a small trader as well. So if there's someone like what your wife runs is a mid-scale entrepreneur setup, then we would love to give content to them so that their cost of operations become easier. They can still service their customer base with MakeMyTrip's content.
All right.
What is the spend, say, if you're spending 100 in B2C, what are you spending on B2B? Of course, it's about the size.
Yes. Anurag sir, we actually don't, okay, our ideology on B2B spending is that on B2B, the product should sell. So growth is driven by the product and not by marketing spends. This one question, yes.
We are running short of time, so we'll address this as the last question to Mr. Singh.
Sure. Thank you, Rishi, for the opportunity. So I'm Rahul. I'm part of Pine Labs, basically. So you made a very interesting point that maybe 5 years or a decade from now, AI will be so strong that it'll maybe order a cola for you instantaneously, knowing that maybe you'll be in a need. Do you see, platforms like MakeMyTrip, right, building some kind of, AI, wherein, or maybe any AI app or platform, creating a plan, travel plan for the customers, understanding his or her need based on obviously his current position.
Yeah.
And also, what kind of data will support that kind of AI planning?
Absolutely. So sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is Rahul.
Rahul, the answer to that is absolutely, and maybe in the short term only. I mean, we are quite invested in ensuring that we can aid our consumers with trip planning and also trip booking on that same surface. So that I think is very doable right now because see, supposing Rahul, if you're a MakeMyTrip user, like are you?
I am.
Okay, thanks. So then, if you're a MakeMyTrip user, over the last 4-5 years, you wouldn't have booked most. Even if you have not booked, you would have searched on us.
Yeah.
So that would give us enough signals to understand that what do you search for, what kind of destination do you go to, what kind of airfares do you search, or hotel rates do you search. So ideally, we would have enough first-party information on you that what is your personality, like what is your persona. Now, what we want to do is, on top of that, we want to build a iterative where you can chat with us or chat with, when I mean chat with us is chat with a bot and say, okay, I'm planning to go this summer, and in a conversation, we are able to understand what kind of itinerary would suit you, give you that surface that itinerary for you, and then our agents take over and help you book on that surface only. So I think, Rahul, the question that you asked, I think pretty much, I think in the very, very short term, we'll be able to kind of form a product where consumers can plan their trip and book their trip in a very conversation format, even voice or text, whatever.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.